So I'm sitting here in my 2018 Taurus, and I've got a malfunction with the car. So I figured I'd make a video because there's a few things that I want to talk about related to this. So this vehicle is equipped with side object detection. It's the system that puts the little yellow light in your rear view mirrors when there's a vehicle in your blind spot. Works very well. It's very necessary in this generation Taurus. If you've never been in one, the door pillars are really high up, and your view in the blind spots is very restricted. So really essential equipment in this particular car. So I've got to get it fixed. Now, the side object detection system, Ford's got a history of problems with them, probably most well-known in the F-Series pickup truck. In the pickup trucks, they put the sensor, the sensor that shoots out the signal that's looking for a vehicle in the blind spot. They put that inside the taillight assemblies. And so they're kind of exposed to weather. What happens is moisture gets into the taillight assembly. The taillight assembly fills up with water until the electrical connector gets submerged and begins to corrode, and then the sensor fails. On those, sometimes you can clean them up. Sometimes you have to replace the connector and the sensor. It varies. But that's usually the biggest problem with them on the F-Series pickup trucks. Passenger cars, to a lesser degree, have problems with the system. Usually on the passenger vehicles, though, it's not a corrosion issue like that. It's simply that the sensor has failed. It's pretty easy to tell which side your problem is with. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to shake the camera like that. But the side that fails, the yellow light will illuminate in the mirror and it'll stay on. Normally, it's only illuminated when there's a vehicle in the blind spot, but if it fails and the yellow light stays on the passenger side, for instance, then your passenger side sensor has failed. And so I needed to get the part. Now, the part is ridiculously expensive. From the dealer, you're talking $700 plus range. You can get them aftermarket from a couple different suppliers. But with something like this, I would really recommend that you stick with the factory Ford part, even though they're expensive. There's another alternate route you can go, which is the one I chose. I bought one off of eBay. I found a private seller that had one. It had the correct numbers on it. I had gotten access to mine and read the numbers off of it and made sure the one I ordered matched. The seller was not a big bulk seller of these types of things. Their store is sort of a hodgepodge of things, so I'm not sure how it came to be in their hands, but it was only $250. So I figure if it works, it'll solve my problem and save me a bunch of money. So I went that route. In my experience, most of the sellers I deal with on eBay are relatively honest. I haven't really had any problems with anything I bought off of eBay. Every now and then I might have to return something, but most sellers are really helpful in that regard. So that's where I got mine, was from eBay. There is a problem when you want to install a sensor like this, though, and that is it needs to be programmed to the vehicle. And so you're going to have a scan tool capable of programming. Now, a lot of scan tools can't do that. Certainly none of the really cheap, $100 or less tools that you plug into the DTC connector. They can read codes, but they can't do any programming. And even when you get into the $200-300 range to some of the nicer ones that have two-way talk and can do some of the actuation tests that are necessary for diagnosing problems, a lot of those still can't do module programming. So it's typically not until you get into the more expensive scan tools that you can find one capable of module programming. It's necessary because the systems on board the car, the modules that control these systems have to be able to talk to each other, and the programming is what allows them to do that. Now, this particular Taurus, they made this generation 2009 to, I don't know, 2000, maybe 2018. This might be the last year for the car, or 2019, thereabouts. They made it for about 10 years. And so within that 10-year period, there were a ton of different options. So they have different trim packages that come with different systems options. They also had different series, like you've got the SHO, you've got the Police Interceptor, and so forth. And so some cars like mine only have the basic side object detection and the cross traffic sensor that tells you if someone's driving by when you're backing up. Others have lane departure and other automatic braking and that sort of stuff. And so in order for your car to function properly, the sensor in your car has to be programmed properly to work with the other systems on the car. And the way the car knows that is the VIN number is put into the software in the module. And so even if you had an identical module, like if you had two identical Ford Tauruses, for instance, both of them with functioning systems, if you took the module off of one car and put it onto the other car, it will fail immediately when you start the car, because it'll go through its self-check, it'll find the wrong VIN, and it'll trigger a failure immediately. And so at the very least, even if you've got the identical module and it's functional, you still have to be able to transfer the program from the old one to the new one. There's two ways you can do that. Either you can do that by leaving the old one installed and pulling the program with the scan tool before you install the new one. Or if you don't have the old one available, you can get if you have access to the factory service manuals, you can get the proper coding to put into it, and you can actually manually do it through a lot of scan tools. So if you want to do a job like this, you can't do it without a scan tool that's capable of programming. So just keep that in mind. Now, when I started looking into this job initially, I haven't ever changed one on a car like this before, and I wasn't quite sure where it was. I knew it was in the back rear corner of on both sides, but exactly where it was and how it was accessed, I didn't know. So I started looking on the internet, and boy, that's when I came up with a bunch of videos that really prompted me to make this video, because the information that's out there is crazy. And if you're somebody that's not really experienced with cars and is looking for a video that can help you fix a problem with yours, it can be really difficult to figure out what information out there is good and what's bad. And what I saw in particular with regard to the Taurus side object detection sensor is, in all of the videos I looked at, people ripped apart the entire back end of the car. I mean, they pulled the taillights off, they pulled the bumper off, they pulled the trunk trim. One guy pulled the deck lid itself off. They pulled the wheel well arches or deflectors out. I mean, they literally took apart the whole back end of the car. And none of it is necessary. I'm going to show you here in a minute how easy it is to get access to these things. But I want you to keep in mind that the information that's out there, the videos that you watch, don't look at them as blueprints that you have to follow exactly. Use them to give the information that you need, like exactly where the thing is located, and then see if you can find a different way, or maybe an easier way to locate it. Because it seems a trend in the current state of the automotive repair industry that people do things in the most difficult and time-consuming way possible, because that's what the factory manuals tell them to do. Like this car, the 2018 Taurus, or this generation of Taurus, They have a problem with the water pump. I don't know why, but they put the water pump behind the timing cover. It's actually in the oiled section of the engine. So it's kind of bad. If the water pump leaks, it's going to put water right into the oil. But it means you have to remove the timing cover in order to remove the water pump. Now, I don't know why they did that, because the engine that's in this car is an evolution of the Duratec engine that was in the Ford 500. And that engine, the water pump was in the V that the timing cover makes, where it splits between the forward and the aft bank, but it was external. It was relatively easy to get at. On this car, they put it behind the timing cover. Now, the reason that's an issue is because if you start looking up videos on how to replace the water pump, you're going to see people rip their cars apart completely, talking removing the whole cradle, engine, suspension, transmission, everything, and dropping it on the floor. You're talking about disturbing the electrical system, the air conditioning system, the cooling system. Every system on the car gets disturbed. And not to mention the alignment, because the alignment is set with the cradle in the car. You pull the cradle out, you're not going to get the cradle in the exact same position. So when you put the cradle back in the car, you're going to have to realign the front suspension, probably the rear too, because it won't track straight. There's no way you're going to get that straight back in the car the same way you removed it. And none of that is necessary, because you can do it leaning over the passenger side fender. There is nothing that you can't get access to and remove in order to do that job without removing all that stuff. You can leave the car completely put together, pop the hood, pull the intake and the valve covers, remove a few hoses and stuff that are in the way on the right-hand side, and then you can remove the timing cover, you can remove the timing chains, and you can remove the water pump. You can do it all with the engine in the car. But it seems like people don't have any imagination anymore, or any creativity. It's like they don't know how to work on cars anymore. They just know how to completely rip them apart. Like the many cars that you'll see in videos where people remove the entire dashboard out of the car to change a heater core. That can be done by removing the heater box itself, which is designed to be removed. So oftentimes, the videos that you watch on YouTube show the most difficult and expensive and time-consuming way that you could possibly do a job. Almost never do they show you the best way or the easiest way to do it. And so that's what really made me mad when I was watching videos on this sensor. Like, why are people ripping apart the car like that and making you think you need to? The complicated part of this job is that you need a scanner that you can use to program the sensor. Not that the sensor's hard to get at, because it's not. And nobody talks about that. And so that's why I decided to make this video. I mean, you can do the job yourself. You can do it better. You can be creative, and you can find ways to fix your own car without having to have a shop and a lift and all kinds of fancy equipment. You can do it in your driveway. I've been doing it my whole life. And so I'm going to show you how easy it is to get access to the sensor on this car. I'm going to skip the wrench turning bit, because it's literally only 5 screws in the wheel well, and I'll show you that in just a minute, and I'll be right back. So the blind spot sensor, it's a little radar unit, looks like this, and it lives right here behind the bumper. Now, there's all kinds of videos on the internet that teach you how to take apart the whole back end of this car to get access to it. It's kind of crazy the amount of stuff that people are taking apart. But realistically, all you need to do is remove 5 screws. I'm using a 7/32 bit. Some people say you have to use 5.5 millimeter. I don't have a 5.5 millimeter, never seen one in a socket set. There's people that'll tell you how to order one off of Amazon and give a link, but most standard sets that have small sockets have a 7/32. So use what you got, but there's 5 of them that go up here and then 1 straight up. Now this portion of the bumper just snaps on, and so once you've got the screws out, stick your hand in here and just pop the clips. They're all along the top there, and you can see the sensor right here. Now it's held in with a single screw, and it has 1 electrical connector. And it's real easy to change. It's got 2 tabs on the top that pop into this bracket here, but then just the 1 screw and the 1 electrical connector. But here's the deal. You got to leave the old one installed before you install the new one so that you can program the vehicle's computer or the module. Let me show you how that goes. So this is my Icon T8 scan tool, and it's already connected to the car. I've already got it to read the VIN and all that. So you've got a bunch of options here. I could read the codes. I could use it to detect what systems are on the car. I could select certain systems that I want to work on, or check out any special functions that are available. But what I'm going to choose is down here, module programming. And when I enter module programming, it's going to give me 2 options. One is to show me all the modules that are installed, and the other is going to show me the parameters, the programming parameters for each. I'm going to click module installation, and it gives me a list of all the modules that are installed on this vehicle that I can program. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom, and the last 2 on the list are side object detection, left and right. And I know my problem is with the right. And so in order to program the module the easiest way, which is to take the program off the old module and install it on the new module, then what you do is you go into it in this mode before you remove the old module. Now, to make things easier, gain access to it and be ready, because all you have to do is, once you download the program, is plug in the new one and immediately upload the program, right? So like if I select right, it's going to ask me, programmable module installation is a program to set new module configuration parameters. Select yes if the available original side object detection control module is still installed in the vehicle. And so what I did, and I've done it already, is I hit yes. The scan tool downloaded the program from the old module. Then it told me to turn the key off and click OK. Once I turned the key off, it told me to go ahead and replace the module. And really all I did was go and swap the plug from the old one to the new one. And then I came back in, I clicked OK to tell it I had changed the module. And then it told me to turn the key back on. I turned the key back on, clicked OK, and then it uploaded the new program. The whole process, start to finish, was about 2 or 3 minutes. The whole job, start to finish, from walking up to the car to swapping it out, programming it, and buttoning everything up, 20 minutes, maybe. It's a very easy job to do, which is kind of upsetting because the dealer, quoted me like $2,000 to do this. And so I'm just going to cancel to get out of this mode because I've already done it. But that's how easy it is. But you do have to have a scan tool that's capable of programming. You'll have to be able to go into module programming, and you'll have to be able to access the module specifically. But as long as you can do that, this job is a cakewalk. And so if you can't afford a scanner like this, make friends with somebody who has one, or maybe make friends with a private mechanic who's willing to help you out with something, this piece of it. The only complication is it has to be done as part of the job, right? So you can't just swap out the part and then program it later, because you have to do the programming as part of the removal and installation. But if you can figure out this piece of it, the rest of it is a cakewalk. So that's really all there is to it. Remove those couple of screws, pull the bumper side out a little bit to gain access to it. You can get both hands in there just fine. And just go through the process. You have to have a scanner that can program, though. That's the only thing. And so before you remove the old one, you'll go into that routine in the scanner to copy the program from the old module, and then you'll just swap it out and let it program the new module, pop the bumper back into place, and put the screws back in place. It took me, all told, programming and everything, less than a half hour. I had called the dealer to inquire on what this job would take, and they quoted me $2,200. Now that included the part. The part was, I think, $700. So that's $1,500 labor. And they would have pulled the whole back end of the car apart, because that's what the book tells them to do. I just can't see paying for that, and you shouldn't either. The industry today is built around doing way more work than is necessary and charging way too much for it, and people pay it because they don't have a choice. And so oftentimes people just don't have the mechanical aptitude to do it. And I feel sorry for those people, and I help them out whenever I can and help them fix their cars whenever I can. But if you're a person that has some mechanical aptitude, I hope this video will help you in some way in at least understanding that you can take on things on your own, even in a modern car with all the electronics that are on it, and you can fix it yourself. So I hope this helped, and thank you for watching.